I made it like crooked. Subscribe if you want this. Hey guys, welcome back to Maple and Roots. I am really blessed that you guys have come back, and today is going to be just a little bit of a different video. Don't worry, I'm still talking about homeschooling because it's what I'm good at and it's what I know, so it's kind of what I talk about. But today's video is going to be a little bit different. A lot of times I talk about curriculum or just different reviews or what we're doing in homeschooling, and today I kind of want to just take a little side road and talk about something that's really close on my heart that I'm struggling with in our homeschool. And the thing is that I'm actually kind of nervous to talk about this. I'm kind of nervous to even bring this. I've been praying this morning about it, and I just really felt like God laid it on my heart to talk about. So bear with me, because it kind of, like in all that I do, might be a little bit all over the place. I'm not even really sure where I'm going with this video. I don't really have like tips and tricks or what I do in these situations to like share. I don't really have that because I'm like right in the middle and like the thick of it. So I want to talk about when homeschooling is hard. And there's some things I want to say about that, because in general, especially right now in the middle of a pandemic, homeschoolers and homeschool families and moms, we don't really like to talk about the hardness of it. And there's a lot of like layered reasons on why that is. And the first is because when you send your child to public school, nobody questions you. It's just normal, right? That's just what you do. You send your kid to school. When you send your child to a private school, you're a really good parent and you're investing into your child's education. Nobody questions that, right? When you choose to educate your children at home, you are a risk taker and you're probably likely going to fail. And so it's really difficult things for homeschoolers to talk about the hard side or the bad side of homeschooling, because it's literally like everybody is sitting there watching and waiting for you to fail and waiting for you to say like, aha, like I told you it's not going to work, or yep, she just put our kid in school because it was too hard, or whatever it was. And so that's kind of like the first thing. Like we have a really difficult time talking about homeschooling because we are being like set up to fail. And then the next reason why it's hard to talk about the hard days in homeschooling is because we desperately want to show people how valuable that it really is. And when we're showing that value, it's difficult to say like some days, weeks, and seasons suck. Okay? Like, I mean, I'm just going to be blunt. Sometimes they just suck. And so like, it's really hard when we're trying to convince or basically when we have to prove what we're doing to other people. We don't want to talk about those times that could cast any sort of negative light onto our homeschooling. I just realized I forgot to turn on my fancy ring light because I'm like a real YouTuber now. Hold on. Bam! Look at those eyes. Okay, now I'm distracted. Great. Anyway, we don't really like to talk about those bad times because we really want to show people how awesome and how fulfilling and how rich homeschooling is and how it's like the best choice and how we really just want other people to homeschool as well, right? And then the other thing is that like we want like our friends and our loved ones who have school-age children to experience the wonder of homeschooling, and it is amazing, and it is the probably like the best, one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life, is to homeschool our children. Like, I'm so grateful that this is where God has called our family. So there's the other thing is that we want to like talk to moms, and we want to be like, this is great, like you can bake all day and like do all these things, and because of that, it really kind of restricts us from talking about the hard times. And I think what happens with that is we actually end up setting up people for failure. So when we do that, those moms who do take the leap into homeschooling, and they're in their first month and their kid is crying every day, or their house is trashed, or their husband is really unsure about what they're doing, or whatever that looks like, they're sitting there saying and internalizing, there is something wrong with me because I'm having a hard time and nobody else is talking about their hard times. So as an early homeschooler, somebody who doesn't really know and hasn't really been around it, you come in thinking like, I'm doing it wrong. I can't do it. Other moms are more equipped. Other moms are better at this than I am, and I'm a failure and I need to stop, right? So you have all of this pressure on you, because the conversation is not going, and we're not talking about the hard times of homeschooling, and we're not troubleshooting on how can we adjust or how can we support or equip one another. And so when you have people like me, who I'm obviously a homeschooling advocate, this is my life, right? It's a really difficult thing to come onto a platform and say, I'm having a hard time right now. And my hard time actually really has nothing to do with our education. Our hard time has like outside things going on, not to mention a worldwide pandemic. Okay, not to mention that, because that's enough to be having a really hard time. And so it's a really challenging thing to come on here and like bare my soul and saying like, I'm having a really hard time homeschooling my kids right now. And when I'm having a hard times, I do kind of crazy things to like refresh myself or reset myself in school. And one of that being is I change curriculum. The second thing I do is I question all my curriculum. The third thing I do is I research all the curriculum, because that kind of motivates me to keep going. Um, but there are days that, and I don't even want to say days, because actually, like, sure, like everyone expects that we're gonna have a bad day, right? That's like normal. But in homeschooling, there's often time where there are seasons that are so difficult, and you might be dealing with such an emotional heaviness in your home and in your family that like that season just feels like you're just like walking in sand, or you're underwater, right? Or you're kind of just like a walking mom zombie thing. Maybe it's postpartum depression. Maybe you have a little one. Maybe you're adjusting to like a new kid in your life. Maybe it's marital issues. Maybe it's unemployment. Maybe it's seasonal depression, or maybe there isn't even a reason, because sometimes there are hard seasons and we might not be able to pick out that reason, and that's okay. Okay. So I said, I have no idea where this is going, and I really don't know where this is going, except for sharing that I'm having a hard time. And if you're a homeschool mom and you've ever experienced a hard time, or you are having a hard time, one, you're not alone. Two, you're not failing. And three, like, this is normal, and all of us experience this at one time or another. And so I think maybe I just want to challenge the homeschooling community. Maybe we need to do a better job of communicating these hard times. And maybe we need to offer support or education or whatever, right? Or like resources to help in these hard times. But really, maybe we just need to be empathetic and hear people and practice active listening and say, it's okay, I'm with you. Whatever you need, even if that's just a listening ear, I'm with you, and you're not alone, and you're not a failure, and you don't have to go enroll your kid in public school. Because when we talk about how we're having a hard time in homeschooling, the immediate response is, oh, so you're going to send them just to real school now? No. I'm just having a hard time right now. I don't need you to like decide that, like, really to really just kind of pound in there that I'm really failing, right? So yeah, I don't know where else I'm going with this. I told you I had no plan. I just wanted to talk. I just wanted to talk about having a hard time. And right now I'm having a hard time. And oh, and the other thing is like our hard times often look like different than other people's hard times. And social media, this is where social media can do a really disservice to people, is that like we might like scroll through and be like, oh, look at these pictures, this beautiful house and this homeschooling or whatever. But like you might not know that like that mom like used a shovel and cleaned out that like one portion of her house that looks perfect where the other doesn't, or the rest of the house is like completely trash, or maybe their picture is actually like from like 3 weeks ago and it's not accurate, or whatever that is. Like our hard times can look like really different. Like for me, our hard time in school doesn't mean that like we're not doing school. It might mean that I will change up our routine because that's what I need to do. It might mean that I kind of reduce a little bit of what we're doing. It might mean that we kind of take a side road and we're going to just focus on something that we all want to learn or study about. Or maybe, we'll take one day a week and we'll just do art and kind of immerse ourselves in our favorite book. And that might be what it looks like. And the other thing is, when you're homeschooling, let me just say, this is like a side rant. Okay. It's really like, please don't like bombard children with what they've done in school. Because like we don't really do that with public school kids. We don't really like be like, hello, homeschooler. What is 16 squared? Like we don't really do that. And so it's really challenging for our homeschoolers to be like, so what are you doing? And they're like, please stop asking me. And then the other thing is like, let me just tell you, like, as a homeschool mom, and we like might be out at the store, at a restaurant or something like that, and we run into somebody and they go, oh, Adeline, what'd you do in school today? There is no greater fear than somebody saying that to a homeschool mom, because our kid might just be like, oh, I watched a documentary today because mom was scrubbing the kitchen floor, because that's definitely happened. And if I'm alone, then I'm alone, but that has definitely happened, right? So like there's like no greater fear when somebody says that, because you just then have to like overcompensate and be like, no, I promise like our kid is getting a great education. Like I promise this is just like one bad day, or, we're on break this week, or whatever that is. That was a really big side rant. I'm so sorry. Now I've really lost my train of thought. Anyway, maybe we as homeschoolers can change the conversation and we can be real and talk about how there are days and there are times and there are seasons that are really challenging. And I think all of us could really benefit from that. From the new homeschooler, from the mom who is not sure about homeschooling, from the family that might be watching and saying, we don't agree with you homeschooling, like with your family homeschooling, which is, by the way, that's not my family. Or from, saying to the veteran homeschool mom, or to the mom who's like in her second and third year, and the first year was great because she had like this schedule and this regimen and all of these things, and then now she's like 3 years into it and her kid is just over it, or she's just over it, right? We need to open up and have this conversation that sometimes homeschooling is hard, sometimes there are bad seasons, but that doesn't make you a bad mom, and that doesn't mean that homeschooling is wrong. Which is probably like the biggest, loudest thing that I want to say. Like, it doesn't mean that it's wrong for your family. It doesn't mean that it's wrong for any family, or that people shouldn't be doing it, right? And like the thing is with like homeschool moms is that like, okay, the thing is for me, maybe it's not all homeschool moms. The thing is for me is that A, I have a lot of pressure that I've put on myself, and B, I am never, ever, 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 ever alone, ever. I do not have alone time. I have 5 kids at my house currently, sometimes 6. I have a baby that has pretty high needs at night that I am dealing with. And then from the moment I get up in the morning, I am attacked by like leeches, and they like kind of cling on to me and they want to snuggle. And because I am really passionate about gentle parenting, I never want to baby screaming. I never want to deny my child of a snuggle, especially because I have so many kids. So then I like feel like, oh, like I haven't hugged Micah enough, and now he's going to grow up and need like lots of therapy and like that kind of thing. And so anyway, I just put all this pressure on myself, but I am never, ever, 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 ever alone. Like I don't have alone time. I just don't. Well, I'm alone right now. I'm in my bedroom talking to you. So maybe that counts as alone time. Maybe that's why I'm so ranty right now, because I'm finally alone. But the thing is, so like, we need to remember that because we're never alone, or we don't have as much adult interaction as say other people do, or whatever, that is that sometimes our hard times seep into all areas of our life, right? So because our children are at home with us all day, um, that means that we don't have a break or a breathing time. So it feels like the whole entire day is having a hard time, which then stretches into kind of these like long seasons. Does that make sense? Does anybody else feel that? Like, I'm doing a whole lot of talking and clearly I'm having a hard time right now. So if you have advice or if you've been through that, or if maybe I'm sitting here saying you're not alone, but maybe I actually really am alone. I don't think I am, but you know, I'm not a chance. But does that make sense what I said? That like sometimes like our hard time in school on the outside, or if it was like different circumstances, it might actually not be like a really big deal. But because we're having like a hard time and we're always with our family and we're always with our children, it kind of just seeps into the rest of our life, which I think can then make homeschooling feel even more like a burden or feel even more hard because the lines between life and living and family atmosphere are so blurred because it's just a part of our family life. It's not like we go to school and we go to a job and we do all those things. The baby's coming and he's crying. So I'm going to get off this. But does that make sense? So I think sometimes we need to remind ourselves, hold on. All right, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to be all done ranting. This guy needs a nap and what do you think, right? And I actually do need to go do school with my children because it is 1 o'clock in the afternoon and I have yet to do that. But we will. Don't worry, guys. My kids are getting a great education. See, again, I feel like I have to share. Like, don't worry. We are doing school even though it's 1 o'clock. Look at this beautiful guy. Can you say hi? Say hi. Hi, YouTube. Nope. Okay. Anyway, thank you for tuning in, for letting me rant. Hopefully I'm not alone. Hopefully I don't sound like a raging lunatic. If you have questions or comments or have something that you would like me to express verbally, drop me a comment, okay? Don't forget to, he wants to nurse. This, don't worry about this. It's like, look at my bruise, guys. No, I fell down the stairs. No, I'm just kidding. But really, subscribe if you want to see more videos of my subscribe if you want to see more video. Blech. Hold on, I made it like crooked. Subscribe if you want this. Okay, I gotta hold my thingy just fell. Subscribe if you want to get more videos of me ranting and my children interrupting, and ring the bell, leave a comment, and have a very blessed day.